My name is Bobby Shrivastava. I'm a Chief Product Officer and co-founder of Benakiva. And with me, I have Ben Baker, and we're going to be talking to Ben about how lessons of experience, how Ben's made lemonade from lemons. And what's interesting is this is the Thanksgiving or pre-Thanksgiving special, and Ben lives in Canada, even though he's a U.S. citizen.
I am.
It's so perfect.
I celebrate two Thanksgivings. I get my turkey in October and I get my turkey in November. So it's the best of both worlds.
So Ben, tell us a little bit about yourself, as well as what excites you about the insurance industry.
Yeah, I mean, I am tangential to the insurance industry. I mean, what we have is we're an internal communication agency. What we do is we help build better leaders within organizations, and we help companies engage, retain, and grow their employees. So it's all about how to communicate more better, how to tell a story more effectively, how to engage an audience, how to make sure that your staff understand who you are, what you do, and why you do it, and make sure they feel valued and that they stay and they're productive instead of out there looking for another job. So that's what we do. I work a lot with the insurance industry because we look at companies and we sit there and say, as you grow, how is your story changed? How is your brand changed? How is, what you do changed and why you do it changed? And do your staff understand? Because as companies grow, cultures change. And it's making sure that as companies get larger and larger and branch offices and different states, etc., that they understand that the people come first. And the more we engage the people within our company, the more they'll engage your customers.
Oh, that's awesome. And love your post on LinkedIn and Twitter. We always have some really good, vibrant discussions. So for the folks out there, make sure you're following Ben and all the different social media. You'll learn so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate all the contributions that you've made. So tell us about a time where lemons were thrown, and how did you make lemonade?
Oh, there's so much lemons in my life. I love those little round yellow balls. You just sit there and say, okay, who threw that one at me and how do we get out of this? The world is all about what do you learn from it? We're all thrown situations. We're all thrown curveballs. We all need to sit there and say, okay, that really, that was terrible. How do we get through this? And a time in my life that was with that is when, I needed to change careers. I absolutely needed to change careers. I was at the point where I was on a plane 200 days a year. I was on a plane 200 days a year. I was the George Clooney. I was up in the air. I was managing $100 million account. I had 30 staff working for me, and it was just, I was never home. And my wife came up to me and said, look, this is not happening anymore. We had been married, I'd been doing this for 2 or 3 years, but we had just gotten married and we were 6 months into the marriage. And she said, this is a divorce waiting to happen. So she said, you have 2 choices. They can either double your salary to pay for your divorce, or they could cut your travel days in half. And, that was the walking papers I was given, to my boss. So I was walking into my boss's office, I have no idea which way this is going to go. And, and I laid it out in line, and they said, well, why don't we buy you out? I said, pardon me? I says, tell you what, we love that you do what you do, but we don't have another job for you. And any other job that we have is going to be just as much traveling. Why don't we buy you out? Why don't you help us, get your competitor online and take over your position? Why don't you fly them around for 30 or 40 days and figure out, get them introduced to everybody? And then we'll give you a 6-month, we'll pay for your medical, we'll pay for your dental, we'll give you an override on all sales. And the best thing they did for me is they went there and they paid for the what do you want to be when you grow up training. And I got, taken from this sales role that really was heavily marketing, because what I was doing is I was bringing the new programs into the company, to understanding that the marketing is what I truly loved. It was the communication that I loved. It was the storytelling that I loved. And it allowed me to make that transition in a way that, allowed me, A, to save my marriage, B, not travel nearly as much. And, make me more successful going forward. So that's my lemons to lemonade story. And there's lots of them, but that's probably one of the best.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing, Ben. It's showing the power of asking and options, right? Sometimes we go in and think worst case scenario, and then oftentimes by laying it down, you come up with a really good option for you. This was awesome.
It
So
was.
if we
And it
hadn't
took,
done that, we wouldn't have seen Ben Baker and all the storytelling and all the brand work that you're doing now. So that's awesome. So so final question, Ben, is you work and you interact with a lot of different insurance professionals, insurtechs like me. What is one piece of feedback that you would give a new insurance professional or a insurtech that's trying to get into our industry?
I think you need to define who you want to be. And it's not being, I want to be an insured tech, or I want to be an insured person, I want to be an agent, I want to be a broker, I want to be, it's just, who do you individually want to be? Who do you really want to serve, and who can you serve? Who are the people that you relate with 100%, and who can you add value to? Because there's 7.5 billion people in this world. Even Coca-Cola doesn't have 100% market share. If I took 1% of 1% of 1% of that 7.5 billion people, I still couldn't serve them all. If you take a look at that number, multiply it by 0.01 times 0.01 to 0.01. I don't know what the number is, but even if it was only 7,500 people, could you manage it? I couldn't. So I tell people, sit there going, look, who can you truly serve? How can you help them? How can you make their lives better? And concentrate on them. Don't worry about the big number. Don't worry about trying to serve everybody. Concentrate on who you really truly can add value to and whose lives you can change. And they will be the advocates for your brand. They're the people that will turn around and sit there and say, you know what, I'm working with Bobby. She's great. She totally gets me. She helps me out. She adds real value to my life. You should really talk to her. And that's when you know the magic has happened.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ben, on being on our episode of Making Lemonade Out of Lemons and Insurance Nerds Production. And thank you for sharing your insights. And guys, until next time.